Hey, what's up? So this is, certification on B2B SaaS and Tech Sales 101. And, to introduce myself, I'm Samir. I am the founder of Tech Sales Mentors. You can learn more about us at techsalesmentors.com. But basically what we do is, we provide free training like this, like you're watching now on tech sales. But when you actually want to get a job in tech sales, we help guide you through that process. We get you into interviews. We help you, crush those interviews through mock interviews with people who are already in tech sales, and we help you negotiate your offers and really help you land in a great spot in tech sales as your first role in the industry. So you can learn more about us there, but would just love to jump into this presentation and all we have to talk about here. So let's first understand, what this B2B SaaS thing is and tech sales, all that stuff. Let's start at a high level. So what I want to chat about here is sort of what is B2B SaaS? What is B2B SaaS? SaaS is basically a concept. It's referred to as software as a service, and really simply put, it's just selling access to some sort of software product on a subscription basis, right? So, there's two forms right here, B2B and B2C. You're probably more familiar with B2C, business to consumer. That's something like Netflix, right? Or Spotify. You pay for their software product that they've created and the content that comes with it, and you pay for that on a monthly or yearly basis. What you want to do is, though, you want to get into tech sales, right? And people in tech sales, they don't sell things like a $8 subscription to Netflix or $10 subscription to Spotify. What they do is they sell business-to-business software, right? And these are products that cost a lot more. They cost, let's say, $10,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, depending on, the company you're selling to. So these are companies like, Zoom or Microsoft. So let's go through these examples, right? Like, what are they selling, right, to these businesses? If you look at something like Zoom, you're probably like fairly familiar with it, right? But every business needs to communicate with people remotely, right? So they would need a product like Zoom, and you as the salesperson, this would be like a tech sales type role, right? You can see this contact sales button, and if we look at pricing, you would generally sell. You wouldn't sell like, these very cheap products. You would sort of sell products like this, the enterprise package. These are the ones where they cost a lot more than what you're seeing here. And that's probably why you hear, tech sales reps make so much money. It's because they sell products that are worth lots of money. So Zoom is an example. Microsoft is another one, right, where they sell their whole suite of products to all types of business sizes. Any business that needs to create documents, do data analysis, or communicate via email, they need a product like Microsoft's. So kind of, you may have noticed, like, the past 5 to 10 years, tech and more specifically software is becoming hugely popular, right? I hear this phrase often that, like, tech is taking over the world, right? So why is that the case? I think, to summarize it in one sentence, like what technology is, really it's just taking something that we do manually today and instead using technology to do it in a faster, cheaper, easier way, right? So I really like to use silly examples to break down these concepts. Let's just use the example of transportation and understand it over time, right? Way back in the day, like if you wanted to, move states or whatever, or move geographies, you would just have to walk, right? That was the form of transportation out there. Then over time, horses came around, right? So, okay, that was faster and easier. And then trains came, and that was faster and easier. And then planes came, and that was, faster, cheaper, and easier. And then cars, and now in the future there'll be self-driving cars. So really, that is the concept of technology. And if you look at the world today, the world has the right conditions to adopt all of this software and all of these digital products. So I think it's like 3 to 4 billion people now have a smartphone. Computers are widely accessible. So that's why it's taking over the world, is because everyone, has access to the digital world now, and it's making our world much faster, much cheaper, much easier to do things. A really great article on this topic is this article called "Software is Eating the World." So I love this. This is by a venture capitalist named Mark Andreessen. He's really great, and has invested in game-changing companies. You can see it here: Facebook, Groupon, Skype, Twitter. I think this is a great article if you want to sort of understand how technology is just sort of transforming all of these different industries today, right? So, you see, like an example, they'll talk about, I think they talked about Barnes and Nobles here. Oh, maybe they didn't. Maybe it was something else. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, not Barnes and Nobles, Borders. Just so many great examples here of how technology is, changing the world and making it much easier, faster, and cheaper to do things. So, what do we want to get into next? Let's talk about, let's actually talk about an example. So the way I want to think about this certification for you is I don't just want to teach you about this world. I want to use examples that tech sales reps are, encountering on a daily basis. So let's talk about, a SaaS product that is faster, cheaper, and easier, and a product that lots of salespeople use. And that product is called Outreach. So let's talk a little bit about that. Outreach is basically, the way to think about it is it just helps sales teams reach out to leads, right? And leads, that just means, potential customers, people who you think would be a good fit for your software. So to understand Outreach, I think the best way to do it is first understand what is, how do you have to do these tasks and work before a tool like Outreach existed, right? So life before Outreach, right? I think the way to think about it is, okay, if I wanted to reach out to a lead, I would have to manually create that email every single time. And let's say I am a SDR. As a SDR, I have to reach out to 100 leads per month, or 100 leads per week. Okay, I have to create all of those initial emails each time. And then I have to spend time tracking follow-ups, right? I don't just send one email. Maybe I'll send a series of, 5 to 7 emails over the next 3 weeks. Okay, I have to track all of those, 100 leads I reached out to in week 1 and know, okay, when do I send them the second email, the third email? That takes a lot of time. And then to actually see how I'm performing, I have to create all of these reports on my own, understand how many people are opening these emails, how many people are responding, how many leads are getting on calls with me and taking sales calls with me. So that's a lot of manual work, right? If we go back to this, that is lots of things you have to do. That's going to take a lot of time and costs a lot of money because you need, time is money, right? So that's one way to think about it. And it's not easy, right? That takes lots of effort. So now let's understand how Outreach makes all of these things faster, cheaper, and easier, right? So first thing is just you can bulk upload these leads into Outreach and just choose whatever cadence you want them to enter. So what does that actually mean? What am I actually saying right there? Let's go into here and kind of understand that a little bit better. So let's see if actually I can just find a picture. Bulk upload. So let's see here. No, that's not great. Let's see, cadences. So whatever, let's think about it like this. So let's think about it like I have a, okay, here you go. Here's a good one. So let's say I have a bunch of leads that I'm ready to reach out to. I can just add them all into Outreach, and then I can choose which type of cadence I want them to enter. And what does cadence means? Cadence just means a series of emails you've sort of templated and created for a specific type of person, right? So if we look at this right here, this person has a few cadences. You can kind of see here, it says like C-level. Okay, so they have a certain cadence for like a chief executive officer, right? Or a chief financial officer, someone who's like an executive. Maybe they have a different type of cadence for an influencer. And we're not talking like Instagram influencers here. We're talking like someone who, is maybe lower in the organization, but contributes to the decision of buying it. Maybe they're not the ultimate decision maker, the person signing off on purchasing the software, but, the C-level person would like this person's input. You can kind of see here another one's event follow-up. So maybe your company went to some industry conference, right? And you met lots of leads there. So you will have a cadence specifically built for them. So that's one example of, okay, now I don't have to manually create all of these emails for each single person I reach out to. I create this sort of cadence of emails once, and then I can just add leads into that, right? And all of that sort of content within the email is pre-populated because I already did it once. So boom, that's how you're saving time. Another example is, all of that content within the email is generally like already templated for you, meaning you already created that template for what will be in that email. And all you really have to do is like personalize a few pieces of information. Maybe, an example is on generally the first email you send to a prospect, that first paragraph is highly personalized to them and who they are. Don't worry, in a future certification, we're going to walk through how to create good cold emails. So we'll get there. But yeah, so like for instance, their name will be like pre-populated because their technology can figure that out, and their company name will pre-populate within the email. So those are all examples. The follow-ups. So okay, you're not just sending one email to them, right? You're sending multiple emails past that first one. I think there was a good example of that somewhere around here. Let's see. Yeah, so where was that? So you can kind of see here. No. Let's see. Basically, you'll have multiple steps in an outreach to someone. So let's see if we can find one that is like it. There you go. There's one. So this is like, okay, here are all the steps. Oh, okay, it went away for a second. But there you go. You can kind of see that. Those are all of the steps. And those follow-up steps, generally that first email is highly personalized. But then after that, the rest are sort of just, again, like I said, templates. So those follow-up emails can just be automatically sent on your behalf, right? And that's saving you lots of time, right? Because then you don't have to worry about sending these follow-up emails to prospects and so on and so forth. And then the last part is just reports. So help you sort of like track your performance. So an example of that would be stuff like, let's see. Oh, there you go. So that's a good one. You can kind of see, okay, how many emails did I send within this past month? What percentage of those emails were opened? What percentage of those emails were clicked? What percentage of those emails were applied to, right? So now you can start getting a feel for, okay, how am I performing against my rest of my team, right? Oh, if I have a 10% reply rate, but my team has a 4% reply rate, then I'm doing great. Like what I'm doing there, I'm sending really good emails that have lots of great content within them, and I'm reaching the right type of people. But let's say we're looking at our open rate and we see 63% open rate versus our teammates have a 80% open rate. Then, maybe my subject lines aren't that good. I need to like work on that, right? So instead of spending time creating these reports are created for you. And that just means now you have more time to focus on analyzing your performance and improving it and like iterating on it. So those are all ways of how, a SaaS tool that tech sales people use helps them do things in a faster, cheaper, easier way. And the next part I want to chat about is not just like what it helps you do, but with that free time, what does that free you up to focus on? That is really what a lot of these companies, these software companies sell, is not just the fact that like I'm automating these manual repetitive tasks for you. It's rather, now that I've done that for you, what can you now focus that freed up time on? So you can now send more emails, right? Because you're not worried about, creating a manual email every single time. It's very, it's all templatized for you. You can spend more time, sending more personalized emails. The more personalized the email is to the person you're creating it for, the more likely they are to respond versus if they, just get a generic message that anyone could get. One way to think through that is like, if you're just to look at your email inbox, you'll probably notice that the emails you aren't opening are the ones that are probably like promotions from e-commerce sites that just like blast off these emails to their entire customer base. Whereas the emails you are responding to are maybe like someone who is like a friend or a colleague or whatever who created that email like with the intention of you replying to it. And, you can tell it was, email that was created with the goal of just messaging you. So sending more personalized emails increases reply rates and helps you get, book more meetings with prospects. You can create better cadences, right? Those templated follow-up steps, you can spend more time making those better, making those more targeted to the types of leads that you're reaching out to. And then spend more time improving performance like we just talked about. Instead of creating those reports, you can understand how you're performing better. And this concept is called Super Mario Marketing. So this is a great way to visualize it. As a salesperson, you are not selling your product, right? You can see it says here, this is not what your business sells. It is what you sell is who this person can be, what this business can become after using your product, right? So if we look at outreach, we can see they signal that on their homepage, right? They're not talking about their product here. They're talking about the outcome of using their product. What does this mean for your business now that, these tasks are freed up for you? It means you can create and close more pipeline. And pipeline, that's just a term that means, potential customers that you've determined are interested, right? So that's the goal here is to help sales teams get more potentially interested customers in the door. So that's what you're selling is the outcome of using your product, not the like specific features and technical details. Last silly example I'll use here is the example of Tylenol, right? So let's say you're like your friend had a headache, right? And your friend has never used Tylenol before for whatever weird reason, so they don't know about it. How would you sell that product to them? How would you convince them to use Tylenol? You wouldn't, talk about the ingredients within it, right? You wouldn't say, oh, they have chemists in Germany who have formulated this perfect mixture of, ingredients from all across the world. What you would just say is, oh, like your head will stop hurting if you use this. You'll say, oh, do you want your head to stop, pounding? Then take this, right? So you're selling the outcome. You're not selling the specific product and whatever went into creating that. Cool. So, what should we talk about next? So that's like, that's like B2B sales and a little bit of, technology in there that we chatted about, a little bit of, software. Now let's talk about sort of, tech sales and tech companies. So kind of like probably what you've noticed from afar is that these companies are attracting lots of money. They're growing really fast. There's great compensation. So I kind of wanted to just explain that at a better level and help you understand that better. So let's start with talking about the investors. These investors, they're called venture capitalists. They basically find opportunities to invest in tech startups and really young companies who maybe don't have a lot of revenue today. They're newer ideas, so they need money to fund their mission of what they're trying to pursue. They need to hire lots of engineers. They need to hire lots of salespeople and all the other support functions that go along with that. And really, their goal as investors is to invest in companies when they're just worth a few $1,000,000. And, hopefully these companies grow to be worth billions of dollars. That's sort of the thought process of venture capitalists, right? So, again, this company or this venture capital firm that we talked about earlier, Mark Andreessen, one of the co-founders of it, you can kind of see some of the companies here. You're probably familiar with them: Airbnb, Facebook, so on and so forth. They invested in those companies when they basically had no employees or had less than 100 or 200, and these companies were probably worth tens of millions of dollars at that point. And they helped them grow to, and gave them capital that would help those companies attract talent, invest in what they needed to be worth billions of dollars. So that's why they get lots of money from investors, is because investors plan for these companies to be worth billions of dollars. And then let's talk about great compensation. So, the tech industry is kind of known for offering, really top tier compensation and benefits to employees. And, why is that? One is just because of the hiring market. So, you may have heard before that there is a talent shortage for software engineers and coders in our industry, or in just the hiring market. There's also a shortage of tech salespeople. There's not enough people in this industry. So that's part of the reason. It's just the hiring market is, it's an employees market where, there is not enough of us. So basically we get compensated really well. And then the second reason is just investors and entrepreneurs want to attract the best talent. They're trying to grow a company that is worth, basically nothing, and or grow a company that has $0 in revenue and have it grow to be, have hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in about like 10 years. And if you think about that, that is just like fucking crazy. So you need to attract, the best people in the world who can really help like crush all of this work that needs to be done to get the business to that level. And the last thing is you probably just see these companies grow super fast. These companies grow really fast because that's sort of the expectation. So investors don't just give lots of money to these companies because they're feeling nice. These investors are trying to make money like anyone else. And so when they give money, they have this expectation that you will grow, 200, 300, 400% per year, your revenue. And so, if you think about like, how do these companies grow revenue? Well, they need to hire tech salespeople. They need to hire salespeople to grow that revenue. So, so that's one thing to think about as a tech salesperson. Like, does that sort of ownership, pressure, and responsibility, does that excite you, or does that scare you? So if it excites you, then this world is for you, because you're going to have a lot of accountability and ownership in helping these companies, achieve what they're hoping to achieve. So one thing I want to touch on here is just that every tech company is not a tech company. Basically, every company wants to be branded as a tech company now. They know that, candidates and employees are interested in that. So they try to brand themselves as such. And to be honest, most of them are bullshitters. And really what you want to do is you want to focus on companies that are backed by the best venture capitalists in the world. And that's sort of a good initial filter for you to figure out which tech startups are actually serious. So that's something here at like Tech Sales Mentors at my company that we really focus on is, our goal isn't to just get someone a job in tech, like any job in tech. It's to get them a job at, the best tech companies in the world, simply because those are the companies that are going to attract the most money. They are going to, which means you get paid the best. They are going to attract the best talent, which means you can learn from, the smartest people in the world and, work with them. and opportunities. They're going to attract the best opportunities. They're going to be the companies that grow the fastest. So that means career growth for you, but not only at that company, also for future companies. So, on average, a tech employee will leave their job, and let's say in like a 2 to 4 year window. And when they go to that next job, generally they look, at least the leaders do, they look to their past and who they worked with, and think like, hey, who did excellent work with me? Okay, I want to just hire those people because I know that they're great. So, working with the best talent in the world, if you do good work as well, you can set up lots of great future opportunities for yourself. Cool. So let's jump into tech sales now. So where does it fit into SaaS? Kind of think about it like this. Coders, they build this product, this software, and then you as sellers, sell it. So let's kind of like go into it on a deeper level here. Sorry that this is not the most, probably can't see it that well. Let's try to make it bigger. Okay, it's not working. So let's go into this. So actually, I think I know how to pull this up. So think about sales and getting customers as a funnel. So at the top of the funnel, let's see. Can I find it? So you know what I can do here? This. Okay, so here's a bigger picture of it. So think about it like this. So at the top is marketing, right? And what marketing does is they do all of these things to try to get people in the door, and then from there, some of those leads, right? Those leads will be good. Some of them won't be that great. They won't be good fits for your product, or they don't want your product or whatever. So then you as a SDR team, you will try to get in contact with those people, with those leads, and you'll try to get on a call with them, and you will basically what's called try to qualify them, try to figure out if they're a good fit for what you're selling. Do they have the money? Do they have a problem you can solve? Are you talking to someone who can purchase this expensive software? Do they have sort of the decision-making ability? Do they want to solve this issue? Cool. Like if you figure those things out, and then you also attract the person to what you're selling, then you would hand them off to what's called an account executive. That person will then close the deal, do the work to close the deal, and turn this person into a paying customer. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but you would start as starting in tech sales, you'd start as SDR. So I'm going to go in this at way greater detail. But first, what I want to do is I want to do a fun example. So let's just talk through each stage of the funnel, right? So let's talk about marketing. Marketing, they make the market leads aware of your company. So let's do a silly example. Let's talk about a club in Vegas. So and this applies to sort of like any bar scene in any city as well, or wherever you're based. But basically think about it like this. Marketing gets people to show up to the club, right? So maybe in the example of a club, right? Maybe that means they're on like Eventbrite and posting their event for Friday night. Maybe it means they're posting about it on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. Maybe they have flyers around the city, stuff like that. So they get people to show up at the club. Okay, cool. Now people are at the door, right? They're at the line. So what does the SDR and BDR do? They determine which of those people that are at the door are legit, that can get in. Think about it like this. The SDR or BDR is the bouncer. They decide, they qualify if you can get in the club, right? So like they'll look at your ID, they'll look at what you're wearing, they'll see if you have enough money to like pay for cover, right? Stuff like that. And think about it like this. There's like two types of leads that come inbound from marketing, there's two types of leads. One comes from marketing, the other doesn't. So think about inbound as that is people that come from marketing. And the way to think about inbound is like it's like guys, right? So generally, what I noticed, like when I was talking to my friend who's a girl, when she was talking about her time in Vegas, it was basically like club promoters would come up to her and be like, "Hey, you can get in for free. Just here, like come to this place at this time." And then, when it comes to males, it's the exact opposite experience when it comes to clubbing or bars or whatever. They clubs or bars will just expect dudes will show up and they'll pay whatever it takes to get in. So think about it like this: like inbound is, kind of, you want to qualify those people. These are guys who are coming in, and you want to qualify and make sure they're legit. Think of outbound as you going out and choosing who I want to reach out to. The club promoters choosing who do I want to show up at this club. Who do I need to convince to come to this club? Think of them as like girls, right? So again, we'll go in more detailed examples when it comes to SaaS, but that's kind of what the SDR BDR does, is they will decide who can get into this bar and get closer to our product. So then what does the account executive do? Think of them as closing that lead, closing that deal, making this person like a paying customer. And if you're at a club, think about that like, the bartender trying to get you to buy, a table and a bottle worth thousands of dollars. So that is, that's, silly example. So now let's go into the SaaS example. So let's start with marketing. So you can see like all of these things right here, what they kind of do to get leads in the door. So you can see here, paid acquisition is one thing. What does that mean? Paid acquisition is just like LinkedIn ads, right? Or YouTube ads. So, I'm sure Outreach has that. But think about then this next one, organic. What does that mean? SEO. That means basically getting people when they're Googling for things to see your articles, right? So let me see if I typed in something like best outreach tool for sales teams, right? And like seeing what pops up. So then like the goal of these companies is to be at the top here, right? Because no one's going to no one's going all the way down here to like see, right? They're as humans, we choose like the first three things, right? So what they'll do is they'll write articles that are that they hope end up like ranking, right? So if you look at all these resources right here, so like, okay, here's one, right? The buyer's guide for sales execution technology. So maybe if I look that up, then like Outreach would be at the top. There you go. So that's one thing they do to like bring leads into the door. If I'm a lead, I may be interested in this kind of stuff. So then what else? Event. So maybe I go to industry conferences where there's a bunch of salespeople there. Okay, let me sponsor those events. Let me send my sales team there and try to get try to meet with leads there. So that's sort of what the marketing team will do. And then where do the SDRs and BDRs fit in? So again, they will deal with two types of leads, inbound versus outbound. So inbound is like, let's say if we go back to that example, let's say someone like puts in their information and downloads this, then that could be an inbound lead, right? Because they're expressing interest in us, right? So another example would, they hit this like request demo button and they have to put in their information. That's this person coming inbound and this lead expressing interest. So those are examples of inbound. And then examples of sort of outbound are you going out into the world, you going out onto the internet, finding companies who you think are a good fit and reaching out to them, right? So silly example is like the mall, right? So the mall, when you decide to like walk into a store, think of that as like inbound. But when, let's say someone at like a kiosk, like you're just walking in the mall and someone at a kiosk comes up to you, a salesperson comes up to you, think of that as like outbound. That person's coming to you first. So it's just about who starts the interaction here. And I think the way to think through inbound versus outbound, there's a few ways to think through it. first, on the inbound front, think of that as like these are generally leads who will be more likely to close and close faster, simply because they're expressing interest in your product, right? So generally, inbound leads are called warm, right? Because they're expressing interest in you. So on the opposite end, there's outbound leads where it's you're reaching out to them. Think of those outbound or those leads as like cold, right? Because it's much less likely that you reaching out to someone who knows nothing about you or your company is going to, end up closing. So inbound and outbound are both great. They just have their own unique things about them that are true. So while inbound leads likely close quicker and faster, you're probably going to get a lot of unqualified leads, right? So maybe that means they can't afford your product, or maybe it's like, the person that's downloading this, right? Maybe it's like me. I'm just downloading it for fun. Okay, I'm not like a great buyer of this technology if I'm just reading this for fun. Or maybe it's like someone who is like a professor and trying to teach their students about this kind of stuff. That would be like an unqualified lead, an unqualified inbound lead. Whereas with outbound, you're generally very specific about who you're choosing to reach out to. So, generally when you have conversations with those leads, you feel a little bit more confident that, okay, they're going to be qualified. They're going to be a good fit for what we're selling. So, the earlier tech company is, the more likely they are to be only reliant on one. But over time, a good tech company will have both. And as you think about like your skills you want to build, inbound can be easier, but outbound, I think it's vital to like get those skills to try to sell, a lead who's never heard about your company or your product, because it takes more sales skills to do that. So harder role, but that's generally how you see the evolution at some of these companies, where they'll have, if they're mature enough where they have both the inbound and outbound team, you'll start on inbound and then make your way up to outbound. Cool. What's next? So then, so like you'll have that first conversation with that lead, and again, determine if they're qualified. Kind of the way you go about determining if they're qualified is you'll use sort of like, basically, like there's these acronyms that determine if someone is qualified or not. So you can kind of see here, this is a newer one. The like oldest example of one is like BANT. But it's kind of old school. I don't really think people in software use this as much. This is becoming much more widely adopted, MEDDIC. And it's basically just trying to understand, if they're a qualified lead that could potentially, buy our product. Are they a good fit for our product, right? Like, okay, what's the problem here that they need solving? Is there an actual problem we can solve? What is, how do they go about buying software? Who decide, like, what criteria are they deciding for the software they purchase? Who is the person who's going to sign off on this purchase? This is like the Super Mario marketing stuff we went over earlier. Like, what does this mean for this company? What's the outcome for their company? Who is the person that like loves our product at their company and is going to vouch for us throughout the deal? So that's kind of how you qualify leads. And one thing to call out there is your job as the SDR or BDR is to only make sure that your AE is talking to qualified leads. Often, SDRs and BDRs, they get compensated on, it slightly depends on the company, but basically the qualified leads that they bring to AEs. And often, SDRs and BDRs will, and I say SDRs and BDRs, the terms are interchangeable for the most part. It means the same thing. Sales development representative, business development representative. But what will happen often is SDRs and BDRs will send unqualified leads to account executives, and they will just hope that the account executive accepts it, and then it counts towards the SDR's quota, and they increase their potential bonus. Honestly, it just makes a very bad impression on the account executive. They're not going to accept an unqualified lead, and then you just you get this reputation within your company of being just an SDR who doesn't do their job properly. So, to really separate yourself, you want to think of your account executive is like your partner. They can help you because, again, they decide if your lead is qualified or not, which helps determine your quota attainment and your bonus and your performance. So don't fuck over your account executive. Only send qualified stuff to them, and you will develop a reputation at the company of someone who, does good work and is serious and is legit. And again, all of that stuff is important because, in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll, maybe not, but in general, you'll leave this company, and you want to have that goodwill you built up at that company with all of the employees there who have left and gone to different companies, different startups you like. You want to build up goodwill at that company because that'll set up future opportunities for you. So then, let's say you hand off a qualified lead to an account executive, then they'll do the work to close that lead. So depending on the company, that'll take a week, that'll take a month, that'll take a quarter, that'll take a year. Really, it's just generally the more that the software costs, the higher the price is, the longer it takes. In general, that's sort of what it is. So what does an account executive do? They show how the product works, right? They go through a demo of the product. They'll overcome objections that prospect has, whether it's pricing or, functionality or whatever. They'll bring in the correct stakeholders, right? Maybe they'll have a CEO to CEO meeting of, the CEO of the SaaS company and the CEO of the leads company. Bringing in users of the product who are actually going to use it at this company. They'll bring in technical integrators of the product, right? So people at the SaaS company who can speak to those technical details, and then technical integrators at the leads company who are actually going to integrate the product into whatever it is they do. They'll work with legal and finance to make sure the contract works for both sides. So that's kind of some of that stuff. And in a later training, we'll go in a little bit more detail of what does the SDR's day look like, and more stuff like that. So cool. So that's this training. What are next steps for you? First thing is you can now use this to gain credibility with employers. So what I recommend you do is you add this certification to your LinkedIn and you post it on your LinkedIn. So the way to do that is just go to LinkedIn, and I'm using my friend's LinkedIn because I'm too cheap to pay for LinkedIn Premium. But what you do here is you hit this edit button, and then you choose, where is it? Let's find it. I think it is, somewhere around here. It's add a section or something. More. Oh yeah, add a profile section. So if you don't have a certification section on your profile, then you need to do this. You go to your profile, you hit add profile section, and what you do is go to, maybe it's recommended. You just have to see where it is for you. And you're looking for this one, add license and certifications. Click that. You type in the name of this, which was, if you scroll to the top, you'll see, or I guess you won't scroll, but I'm just showing you now. It's B2B SaaS and Tech Sales 101. So cool, you can type that in there. And Tech Sales 101. The issuing organization is Tech Sales Mentors. And then you can add this if you want the issue date. That's fine. Don't need to add an expiration date. Then you hit save. And then what you do is you would post it to your LinkedIn. And kind of the reason, and then you just hit post. And if you want, like, you can write a few things you learned about. Doesn't really matter. But really the most important part here is you want to add this to your LinkedIn, because as you consider about getting a job in tech sales, what recruiters and hiring managers will often do is they will look at your LinkedIn, right? And they'll understand your experience, and showing that you've taken steps to understanding what's going on in this world, and you can speak to it in interviews, goes a long way. So for sure, add this stuff onto your LinkedIn and your resume and all that good stuff. And yeah, and then, if you have any friends trying to break in the industry, please share it with them. This is free. I want to make sure as many people as possible can learn about this stuff without having to pay, thousands of dollars. So then after this, this isn't just about listening to content. If you really want to figure this shit out, then you got to learn by doing. And, there's no, I'm not checking your homework or anything like that. This isn't like school. Just know that, like your father, I won't be upset. I'll just be disappointed if you don't do this. So here's some things I recommend you do to really nail this knowledge that you just got today. So the first thing is just pick a SaaS company. So if you don't know one, just use Google, right? You can just type in SaaS companies, right? And you can just type in list, and you'll just see a ton of them. Doesn't really matter which one you choose. And then what you want to do is when you find a SaaS company, you want to find a customer case study on their website and write down what problems was this customer encountering before using this product, and then how did this product make this customer's life easier, faster, and cheaper. So let me just walk through that. So if we go back to that outreach example, where you'll generally see it in this resources section. But even if you just Google the company name and then type in customer case studies, you'll see it on Google, right? So all these SaaS companies have this, and just choose one, right? And generally the way they break down these case studies is they talk about the problem at first, what was this customer facing as an issue before using our product? And then, after they used our product, what outcomes did they have as a business? How did this positively impact their business? So here's an example. I'll just go through this one here and pick out some things. So here they're just talking about what the company does. Okay. Okay, cool. So, all right. So you can kind of see here, they're talking about how lots of the sales reps had to do things very manually, right? You can see your follow-up tasks piled up and caused sellers to fall behind. So, and ultimately meant that they were falling behind on their deals, right? And not winning as many deals. So you can kind of see here, basically they needed to save them time, right? So that was the biggest thing, was these sales reps were spending too much time on these manual sale tasks. So then let's walk through. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then another piece was just they didn't understand people's performance, right? So they didn't know how to improve improve their, win rates, which basically just means how many deals they win. So then let's go into, now we're going to talk about outreach, but we're not going to focus on product details and product features. We're going to focus on what outcome did this have for the business after using outreach? So cool. They're just talking about using the product, how powerful it is. We won't focus on that. Here it is, right? Makes them more efficient and productive. The other thing I'll call out is just when you see numbers, or you see these key results right here, these are the outcomes to the business. So sometimes the text will be the numbers will be highlighted super big, or you'll see it in sort of these bullets of 3. So like you can see here, okay, deal velocity was accelerated, which basically just meant deals closed faster. Instead of taking 60 days, they took 30 days. Their reps are booking more meetings, right? So they're getting more qualified leads in the door. And then, sales leaders have increased visibility, and that's important because, they can understand performance better. And then here you can see seller productivity increase 3x. So again, like nothing here was talking about, they used this feature in outreach and they like really loved it. Yeah, right? Like we're just talking about how did the business's results improve after using outreach. So that's, as a salesperson, that's what you want to focus on. So cool. So that's how to go through a customer case study. Next thing you want to do is, don't worry about this. I don't think that's as necessary. Next part is just describe the funnel for a SaaS company and what each sort of lever does, right? What does marketing do? What is their goal? What does the SDR or BDR do? What is their goal? What does the account executive do? What is their goal? So just like write down a few sentences on that. So you want to start to comprehend these things. So then when it comes interview time, you can communicate these things, show that you understand this, and convince the recruiter or hiring manager that you have, you've done the work and you understand this world. So great. So hope you love it. After this, you will you'll see part 2. Whether if you're viewing this on my website, you can just scroll down a little bit. If you're viewing this on YouTube, you can just see it in the comments. Part 2, and part 2 will be, I believe, career path in tech sales. So that's that. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to. My name is Samir Jahar. You'll just see me. I'm the founder here of Tech Sales Mentors. So you can follow me, connect with me, hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know any feedback you have or anything like that. Would love to hear it. And thanks for taking the time.